Hello class, once again this is your instructor Jason Cano, and we are done discussing about the syllabus. We discussed about the part 1 and part 2 of the syllabus. Now we will proceed to the formal discussion with regards to the different chapters in this course, macro perspective of tourism and hospitality. So we will discuss about the chapter 1, and there are 3 subtitles on this, and we will only discuss about the definition of tourism and hospitality. So in the next video, we are going to record an online discussion on the letter B. So we will only discuss on letter A. So the title of chapter 1 is the introduction to the macro perspective of tourism and hospitality. So we will discuss only about the introductory part about the course macro perspective of tourism and hospitality. So this is really important that we will define the term tourism and hospitality. So other schools, they offer, they are under in the College of Business Administration, and there are many programs like BS in Accountancy, BS in Business Administration, major in Financial Management, Marketing Management, so on and so forth. And they also have BS in Hospitality, and they also have BS in Tourism. For a short background also, in our institution in Baiso Kandihay, before they offer tourism course. Okay, they offer tourism. But sadly, there are only enrollees. That is why the program was dissolved. So we only have the Bachelor in Hotel and Restaurant Service Technology, and now it is Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management. So the tourism and hospitality industry are correlated with each other. So in this chapter, we will only discuss about the introduction and also the definition of tourism and hospitality. So again, the tourism and hospitality definition is a great way to start understanding these two interconnected. Okay, so the tourism and hospitality are interconnected with each other, but they have a distinction about the concepts. So we will break down each term and explore their definition and importance. So we will start. Again, we will focus only on the definition of tourism and hospitality. So we will start with the term tourism. Tourism refers to the activities and experiences of people traveling to and staying in a place outside their usual place of residence for leisure, business, or other purposes. So it encompasses a wide range of activities, from sightseeing and cultural exploration to adventure, tourism, and relaxation on vacations. So there are many people, they travel to a certain place and they will stay in a particular place which is outside their usual place of residence. And the usual reason for traveling to a certain place is because of leisure, some because of business, and there are also other purposes. Okay? And it compasses a wide range of activities. So before, the focus of tourism is only for sightseeing and cultural exploration to adventure tourism and relaxation on vacation. So this is also one of the major reasons for traveling to a place that is not a usual place of residence, for relaxation on vacation. So there are, for example, in the Philippines, there are many foreign tourists who visit in the Philippines, especially here in Bohol, in Panglao, and in Anda. The purpose of their travel is to have a relaxation on vacation. So this is the simple definition of tourism. Now let's proceed to the definition of before we will proceed to the definition of hospitality, there are key points which is very important in the area of tourism. We have types of tourism. We have economic impact, cultural exchange, and environmental concerns. So these are the key points or very important with regards to the tourism concept or area or industry. So let's start with the types of tourism. So again, in our previous discussion, there are many reasons for the tourist to travel to a certain place. One of that is leisure. Also have this business, and they also have a medical tourism, and others also ecotourism, and others have this cultural tourism. Again, I'll just type here. Others purpose of traveling to a certain place is because of leisure. They want to enjoy the place and experience some adventure and etc. One of the reason for traveling to unusual place is because of leisure. Others also because of business. Okay, business. Example for this is some of the institution or company, they want to train their employees, so they will conduct seminars and training to a specific place, and the tourism have this impact on this businessman or business or in the company. For example, even in the Sunkeys, I have the privilege to talk about the business operations of their business. They don't only have these restaurants because that is the first image that we can understand if we will hear the Sunkeys. They provide food services, and later on they have accommodation, and they also have, they call it a function hall if there's a wedding, birthdays, and etc. And I've heard the owner of this business, he talks that there are many tourists who visit on their establishment not just for leisure but also for business purposes, even coming from Manila. So they visit in Bohol just to discuss or just to have a seminars and trainings where in fact they can conduct seminars and trainings on their place in Luzon or in Manila, but they travel, so that's part of tourism. And the reason for traveling is about the business purposes, not just about seminars and trainings, but also if they will have these business transactions, also have this feasibility study and others. Okay, business. Others also they travel because of medical purposes. Especially here in Bohol, there are limited resources, facilities, or expert about the medical field. So there are many Boholanos who will travel to Cebu to have some medications and also laboratory tests. So they travel. So that is considered as part of the tourism, medical tourism. Also have ecotourism. Okay, ecotourism. As you can also observe, I think it is in Luwai. There is a new sightseeing there. There's a whale shark. So that is part of ecotourism. Any tourist attractions that is related to environment or like Pamilacan Island or Virgin Island or mangrove planting, etc. So any, if there's any, um, let's go back to the definition. If there's any activities or experiences of people traveling to and staying in a place outside their usual place of residence. If there's any people who will travel to a certain place with a purpose, like leisure, business, medical, and ecotourism, that is considered as a part of the tourism industry. Okay, so we have ecotourism. They travel for the purpose of what? To enjoy the nature, to enjoy the environment. Next is, so this is part of the or types of tourism. They have also have ecotourism, leisure tourism, business tourism, medical tourism, ecotourism, and lastly cultural. We have cultural tourism. Okay, cultural tourism, leisure tourism, business tourism, medical tourism, ecotourism, and cultural tourism. They travel to a certain place to experience the culture of other culture or other group of people. Just like for example in Lubbock River Cruise, I think the tourists also have, they have this eat all you can, but also they have this privilege to listen to the I don't know what's the name of their group, but the important here is the tourists experience the culture of their songs as well as their how they dress. That is why I also discover every time that we have seminars or training from different organizations, they have a presentation and they always show the culture of our nation here in the Philippines. That is why, for example, in the last year, we attended awarding ceremony in IOR, Organization of International Researchers. I forget the exact meaning, but they have different participants, not just only from coming from the Philippines, but also in different nations, especially in Asia, in Asian country. So we have this presentation, and students from different universities show their talents by dancing the Philippine folk dances. Okay, so that is also part of tourism. They will travel to a certain place to explore the culture of different tribes, backgrounds, or other cultures. So they want to experience. Also, for example, in Ifugao, there are many tourists who will travel on that particular place. They will wear these ethnic dresses. They want to experience that. Okay, so these are the types of tourism. The people travel to a certain place to have an experience. One, to have a leisure. Two, to have these business purposes. Three, for medical purposes. Also, number four, to experience ecotourism or about the nature or the environment. And lastly, cultural. They want to experience or listen or experience the culture of other tribes, groups of people from different nations or cultures. Next is economic impact. So the economic impact explore the economic significance of tourism in terms of job creation, revenue generation, and its contribution to GDP of many countries. So again, the important thing here in economic impact, there are significance of tourism in the area of, again, job creation, revenue generation, and its contribution to the GDP of many countries. Okay, so we will start with job creation. Job creation. When there is a tourist attraction in a particular place, that is why our government have this slogan. I forgot the slogan. For example, in Bohol, specifically, behold Bohol. Yes, I remember now. In the Philippines, we have it's more fun in the Philippines. So that slogan, it attracts the foreign tourists to visit in the Philippines to explore leisure time or fun time in visiting the Philippines. So if there are many opportunities, for example, in a particular place, they will develop a certain place and there are many tourists who will visit on that particular place. For example, in Chocolate Hills, they developed the Chocolate Hills, so there are many tourists now visiting the Chocolate Hills. So if there are many tourists, it means that they also need more manpower to accommodate the needs and wants of the tourists. So that is one of the economic impact of having a tourism or tourist attraction. It will generate or it will create jobs. There are job opportunities if the particular place will develop a certain tourist attraction or tourism attractions or tourism destinations. So that is the impact. There's an economic impact on tourism. It will have job creation. Also, the tourism can generate revenue. Revenue generation. So now, if there are many tourists, so there are also job opportunities. When there are many tourists and job opportunities, it will generate revenue. The more there are many tourists who will visit in a particular place, it will generate bunch of money. So for example also, especially coming from different nations, they will visit the Philippines. So they bring money from their country and they spend it in our country, in the Philippines. So that is one of the economic impact about the tourism. If there are many tourists, it will generate more revenue. So, for example, during pandemic, there are many tourists who declined their travel to the Philippines. That is why they only have minimum numbers of revenue generated by our country. So it also affects the jobs of many Filipinos. So less tourists, less job. More tourists, more job, and more revenue. So that is the advantage of tourism. Also, not just revenue generation, but it also contributes to the GDP. Okay? GDP or gross domestic product. Again, GDP, gross domestic product. So the revenue generation is only focused on the business owner. Okay? Business owner. But for the GDP, it counts the totality of the revenue generated by all the business owners in our country, gross domestic product. So, if our tourism industry will develop, will enhance, also the GDP will increase. So, these are the economic impact of tourism. It will create jobs, it will generate more revenues, and it will increase the GDP or gross domestic product. So now let's proceed to the third one, cultural exchange. So if certain people will travel to a certain place, there will be a cultural exchange. Even if we will not travel via, in the physical way that we travel to a certain place, but even if in during the virtual, if we will watch, if we will watch drama or movies, we will also have cultural exchange. Just like for example in our here in the now in 21st century, there are many students. I think some of you are fan of watching K-drama, and there are also some of their culture that you adapted. Okay, so there are cultural exchange. Even in the virtual or just watching a movie, there's a cultural exchange. How much more if you will travel to a certain place? So you will adapt something from them and you bring it in your own place or country or location. So that is also the impact of having this tourism. There is a cultural exchange, how the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you see the world, the way you interact with other people. Okay? So there's a cultural exchange. I have also discovered or observed some of my friends who are working in Japan or in Korea or in China or in Japan, Korea, etc. So as the visited in our place or specifically in our barangay, I have discovered that the adapted good practices of the Japanese and Koreans. One of that is they have this respect as they bow their heads, okay, as they greet their parents or their friends, or showing some respect. So they bow their heads, and also they adopt this culture of quality in the work. We all know that the Japanese, they are known for have this good quality of their work. So they adapted this kind of culture because they travel to Japan. So they bring this kind of lifestyle or they bring this kind of culture. So there's a cultural exchange because they travel to a certain place. So that is also the key points of tourism. There is a cultural exchange. Next is environmental concerns, the last one. We need to consider that the environmental impact of tourism, which includes over-tourism, conservation efforts, and sustainable tourism practices. So let's discuss first about the issue like over-tourism. This is somewhat like about the negative or bad side of tourism. Sometimes there is an over tourism, as you can observe or watch in the news about the Boracay. One of the reason there is an issue or problem about the environment, the quality of the water on the beaches and the garbage disposal and etc. etc. One of the major factor or reason is because of over tourism. There are many tourists who will visit in that particular place. So it affects also the environment. So the employees or the local government unit on that place cannot able to handle the huge number of tourism. So that is why during the time of Duterte, so he makes some changes, modifications, or he mitigate the problem about the environmental concerns in Boracay. That is why he closed some establishment who did not follow the environmental laws. For example, I'm not sure. I think it is we need to build a building 3 to 5 or 20 meters away from the beach. So that is one of the requirements. Also, the waste disposal, especially the liquid waste disposal. Some of the owner of the resorts or hotels, they dispose the waste, especially the human waste. Okay, they have this tube under the soil, and they will dispose it in the sea. So it affects the quality of the water on that beach. So what the government did, they scrutinize every resort, every establishment. They have this inspection, and they make sure that every owners of the establishment follow all the rules and regulations and the policies. So those owners of the resort who did not follow these policies and regulations, they close the establishment. And I think there is an improvement in Boracay today, not like before. And also in Manila Bay. So there are, the government makes some, they help the Manila Bay to make it clean. So that is also one of the disadvantage if there is overpopulation or over tourism. The people, the employees, the business owners, as well as the government cannot able to handle the overpopulation of the tourists. So that is one of the negative side of tourism. Over tourism that leads to environmental issues. And that is considered as the conservation efforts. That is why the government also can affect or can be affected, and it is also part of the macro side of the tourism and hospitality. So the government also, not just the business owner, but also the government must work hand in hand. They will collaborate with each other to have these conservation efforts to preserve the environment. And lastly, we also have this, they call it sustainable tourism practices in order to save the Mother Earth or the environment. For example, there are tour resorts now, they don't offer sachet. Instead, they will put it in a container. So they will just refill. Not like with the sachet, if you are done using using the sachet, they will just dispose it, and it will add up to the plastics garbages. So they will have these sustainable tourism practices, and also the waste. So they will conserve, reuse, recycle, and recycle the different waste in wastewater, or also the solid waste. So they have tourism, sustainable tourism practices. Okay. Now let's proceed to the definition of hospitality. Hospitality refers to the provision of services. So this is now the provision. So the hospitality are the provider of services and amenities to guests or visitors. Typically, accommodation facilities such as hotels, restaurants, cruise ships, and resorts. It involves creating a welcoming and comfortable environment for guests to enhance their overall experience. Okay, so when you graduate in this program, expectedly you will work in hotel or restaurants or cruise ships or resorts. So the hospitality, or they call it hotel here, will provide services and amenities to the guests. Okay? Typically, the accommodation facilities. So it is just like if we are working in the hospitality industry, we need to make sure that they are welcome, they were cared, and all their needs were provided. Because they are visitors, they are guests on a particular establishment or facilities like hotels, restaurants, cruise ships, and resorts. So we need to provide or create a welcoming and comfortable environment. That is why, again, one of the values that the hotelier must possess is we need to become a friendly, hospitable, um, welcoming, and we like to serve other people. That is the important traits that a hotelier must possess. So if you don't have that kind of um, threats, you need to develop. Okay, for 4 years you need to develop that while studying in BISO, and you need to practice it not just in the campus but also in your individual home. So you need to treat your father, your parents, your siblings, your neighbors as a visitor or as a guest. You need to have this welcoming spirit, and you need to be more hospitable, especially if they will visit your house, or most especially your parents. You need to serve them, because as a hospitality or as a hotelier, this is our duty to serve, to provide the needs of our guests and visitors. So, let's proceed to the key points of the hospitality. First is the elements of hospitality. So there are various components of hospitality, including the accommodation. So the resort or the hotels provides rooms, accommodation. Okay? So expectedly that the guest will stay in the establishment, hotels or resort. So one of the components of hospitality is accommodation. What else? We also have food and beverage services. So when the guest will stay in a particular establishment, expectedly that they will eat and drink. So we need to provide food and beverage services. We prepare their food, we cook their food, and we serve their food to their tables. So that is also important components of hospitality. What else? We also have entertainment. Okay? Entertainment. So when the guests will stay in the rooms of their rooms, it will not stop the good experience on the hospitality industry, but they will also provide food and beverage services because they will eat and drink. And also, we will not stop on that, but also we need to provide entertainment to the guests. That is why we provided tour package. That is why we also provided some activities done in the beach or in the sea, like boating. They will rent for jet ski, banana boat, and others. So for the purpose for that is for the entertainment. We also provide some like cinemas, um, live band, and other entertainment. Okay, so the hospitality also provides entertainment to the guests while they are staying in the establishment. And lastly, the customer service. Customer service. Okay. So we have accommodation, F&B service, entertainment, and customer service. This is the, for example, the guest will have this additional request. So we need to provide services to the guests. For example, they want to ask for a flat iron for their shirts or for their dress. So we need to provide services or laundry services. So we have this kind of customer service or assistance to the guest. It is also important. So these are the importance of these are the, again, the elements of hospitality. Now we also have this called importance of customer service. So we will discuss about the importance of customer service. So we will emphasize the role of exceptional customer service in the hospitality industry and how it can lead to guest satisfaction and repeat business. So one of the hindrance why some of the tourists or guests will not visit again to the establishment because they are not satisfied to the services provided by the hoteliers. So that is why I have discovered that the majority of the business owners of the resorts or hotels, they will undergo the employees about the customer service training or seminars or workshop because it is very important. Once the guest will have a bad experience to a particular establishment, there is a big possibility that they will not return to the establishment. And also, they will speak to the other potential customers that they have this bad experience, and it will discourage some of the guests to visit the establishment. That is why it is very important in the hospitality industry that we will provide an exemptional customer service. The moment that we will provide exemptional customer service, the guest will be satisfied. And there is a big possibility that they will return to your establishment. And they will also encourage other potential guests to visit to your establishment. The moment that you have a lot of guests, it will also increase your revenue. So the customer service is really very important. That is why one of the culture also or values that we need to possess if we want to work in the hospitality industry is we need to have this excellence in our mind. Everything that we will do, we need to make it as an excellent. Okay? We will not settle for good. Okay? We will not provide just for an attendance or just for the sake of following the minimum requirements, but we need to put in our minds that everything that we do, it must be excellent. Okay, so that is one of the very important values that we need to possess if we are going to work in the hospitality industry, the excellence. Next is the career opportunities. So same with the tourism part, there are many career opportunities in the hospitality. So there are diverse career opportunities within the hospitality sector, from hotel management and culinary arts to event planning and tourism marketing. So there are various opportunities or career opportunities when we work in the hospitality industry. One of the misconception of a lot of people, when you study HM, you need to be good in culinary or in cooking. That is one also of my misconception. But in reality, there are many areas in the hospitality and tourism industry. So we will not just focus on cooking because cooking is just only part in the hospitality industry. There are many other areas that we need to consider. So if you're not good in cooking, there's no problem in taking hospitality management if you're not good in cooking, because there are many other factors, other areas or sectors in the hospitality industry. We have hotel management. You're not good in cooking, but you are good in management. You are not good in cooking, but you are good in event planning. You are not good in cooking, but you are good in tourism marketing. So there are many areas in tourism and hospitality. Okay? So, if you're not good in cooking, that is the major misconception of other people, that if you are enrolling in HM, they expect that you are already good in cooking. But sad to say, not all students are still good in cooking, even undergoing many culinary arts or cooking courses. Okay? So, we need also to consider the other areas. And lastly, the technological advancement. So we need also to consider the importance of technology in changing the hospitality landscape with innovations, like online booking platforms, contactless check-ins, and personalized guest experience. So we all know this, or I also discussed this in our face-to-face class, about the impact of technology or technological advancement to the hospitality industry. Before, we are using the key, the literal keys, but today we have using the card keys. Okay, and there are many amenities that is very technological advance in the accommodation, in the food and beverage. For example, in food and beverage or in the dining area, before the waiter will write your order, but now they will use the tablet to select your orders. So there are technological advancement. There are changes in the services provided by the hotelier because of this technology. Okay, so these are the key points or important areas in the hospitality. So now let's discuss about the interconnection between the tourism and the hospitality. So the tourism and hospitality are interconnected. So the tourism relies heavily on the hospitality industry to provide accommodation, food services, and entertainment to travelers. Again, tourism is focused on the people who travel to a certain place, and the hospitality industry will provide the accommodation, the food services, entertainment, and others. So the quality of hospitality services can significantly impact the overall tourism experience and influence the traveler's decision to return or recommend a destination. Again, the tourism and hospitality are interconnected. So there is a really good combination if we will combine or interconnect the tourism and hospitality. And last slide, there are also contemporary issues. For example, so we need to reflect on this part in the contemporary issues. So as you can remember, on the COVID-19 pandemic that affects both the industry, and measures have been taken to some adoption. So we know that after the COVID-19 pandemic, there are changes in our services. So the hospitality and tourism industry also affected on this positively and negatively. Okay? For example, the negative side of the COVID-19 on the tourism, it decreases the tourist arrival on the destinations. But also, what the hospitality and tourism did, so they make some changes, especially in the area of the technology. So before, we are always using paying our expenses through cash, but because of pandemic, the hospitality and tourism industry adopted the opportunity to use the technological advancement. So they have this cashless, okay, and also other applications. And there are also sustainable tourism and responsible hospitality practices. because of this overpopulation or over tourism, there's also a negative impact of having a lot of tourists who will visit in a particular place. It will affect the environment. That is why the tourism and hospitality sectors or the business owners make some changes, or they will save water, they will conserve water, energy, and etc. to save the environment with the support of the government. And also in the technology, again, it's these three were related with each other. So we can able to um, enhance or preserve the environment by the help also of the technology. Okay? And because of this pandemic, there is also modifications or some changes, especially on the technology. Okay? So I encourage you to share this perspective, personal experiences, and many examples that you can relate to the tourism and hospitality. So expectedly, after listening to this short discussion, you will have this learning forum and you will discuss what you have learned, and you need also to interact with your classmates. So I will put specifically what are the topic that you need to discuss on the learning forum. So in the next video, so we only have the letter A for chapter 1, which is the definition of tourism and hospitality. So in the next discussion, we will discuss about the importance of tourism and hospitality. Again, for letter A, we only define tourism and hospitality. For letter B, we will discuss the importance of tourism and hospitality. Once again, this is your instructor, Jason Cano. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you enjoy learning. Bye-bye.